Have you ever felt like you're called to something greater, as if God is guiding your life toward a special purpose? This is no coincidence. Today, you'll discover how to recognize the signs of this divine calling and transform your life through them. Inspired by the teachings of C.S. Lewis and powerful biblical stories, this message will help you understand the unique plan God has for you. To stay connected with messages that inspire your faith and help you discover God's purpose for your life, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. By doing so, you'll be among the first to receive insights and teachings that can transform your spiritual journey. Join this growing community, committed to walking in God's grace and love. Do you ever feel disconnected from God, as though no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to deepen your relationship with Him? You're not alone. Many people struggle with doubts, distractions, and life's challenges, which make it hard to feel God's presence. C.S. Lewis reminds us that these moments of difficulty aren't signs of God's absence, but invitations to draw closer to Him. The struggles you face in life aren't meaningless. They are opportunities for your faith to grow and your trust in God to be strengthened. Perhaps you've asked yourself, where is God in all this? The truth is, He's closer than you realize, working behind the scenes for your good. If you've ever felt lost or unsure of your direction, remember this: God has a plan for you. He hasn't just called you. He's also preparing you even through your darkest moments to fulfill His divine purpose for your life. Today, we'll explore 10 essential truths to help you live in alignment with God's calling. From recognizing His spiritual mark on your life to unlocking His favor and persevering through challenges, these principles, inspired by the teachings of C.S. Lewis, will guide you. By the end of this video, you'll understand how aligning your life with God's plans can transform your faith and reveal the purpose He has set for you. Have you ever felt like you were created for something greater, something beyond what you can see or comprehend? That feeling is not random. It is God's mark on your life. It's a spiritual sign, invisible to human eyes, that reflects His presence and eternal purpose for you. God has placed a unique calling on each of us, a mission that sets us apart. As C.S. Lewis said, "We are not ordinary creatures. We are made for eternity." This truth reminds us that being chosen by God is not about privilege, but about responsibility. It means living a life that reflects the light of Christ in a world filled with darkness. This mark is seen in how we face trials, the decisions we make, and the way we live out our faith every day. Sometimes what feels like restlessness or uncertainty is God preparing your heart for His extraordinary plan. Recognizing this calling means accepting that you have been set apart for something greater, something that can transform not only your life, but the lives of those around you. It's not about perfection, but about being willing to let God work in and through you, guiding you toward a life of eternal significance and profound impact. Those who are called by God are not identified by outward appearance, but by spiritual qualities that shine through their lives. These characteristics, often invisible to the world but evident to those walking in faith, reflect the work of God within their hearts. The first trait is unshakable faith. This faith is not rooted in circumstances, but in complete trust in God, even in the midst of trials. As C.S. Lewis once said, "Faith is holding on to what you accepted as truth despite your changing emotions." Those set apart by God draw strength not from their own abilities, but from reliance on His power. The second trait is a peace that surpasses all understanding. This peace doesn't mean the absence of challenges, but rather a deep serenity in the midst of them, knowing that their lives are held securely in God's hands. The third trait is love and compassion for others. They reflect the love of Christ in their actions, demonstrating patience, forgiveness, and kindness, even when it seems impossible. This ability to love beyond oneself is a visible sign of God's active work in their lives. These qualities don't develop overnight. They are cultivated through a continuous process of transformation by the Holy Spirit. Trials and challenges aren't barriers. They are tools that God uses to strengthen character and prepare His chosen ones for their divine purpose. Being set apart by God doesn't mean being perfect. It means being open to being molded according to His will. Through faith, peace, and love, those who are called become living testimonies of His glory, inspiring others through their example. Being chosen by God is not merely a privilege. It is a sacred responsibility to reflect His glory in every aspect of your life. As C.S. Lewis stated, "The glory of God is a human being fully alive. This means that the purpose of your calling is to embody and share the light of Christ in a way that transforms both you and those around you. Reflecting God's glory starts with small, everyday actions. Every word you speak, every choice you make, and every act of kindness becomes a testimony of His presence in your life. You don't need a stage or a title to reflect Christ's light. Your daily life is your ministry. Whether it's offering encouragement to a friend or showing patience in difficult situations, these moments showcase the glory of God to the world. The mission of those chosen by God doesn't guarantee an easy life. In fact, challenges are often a part of the process. But it's precisely in those difficult moments that God's light shines brightest. As C.S. Lewis said, "Pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world." How you handle trials with faith and perseverance speaks volumes about the strength God provides. This mission is not a burden, but an invitation to live a life of eternal significance. Walking with God means becoming an ambassador of His love and grace. Your words, attitudes, and relationships should radiate His glory, inspiring others to seek Him. Accepting this mission is a decision to live beyond the ordinary, honoring your Creator and pointing others to His greatness. You are a light in the darkness, a living reminder of the transformative power and beauty of God's love. The favor of God is not something we earn through effort. It is a gift freely given, a reflection of His grace and love. However, there are spiritual principles we can follow to align our lives with His favor. These principles are not rigid rules, but steps that help us walk in harmony with His purpose. The first principle is obedience. Obeying God, even in the smallest details, opens the door to blessings we cannot imagine. As C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Obedience is not a condition of salvation, but a condition of living under the favor of God." Aligning your actions with His will, even when it's difficult, allows His favor to flow into your life. The second principle is faith. Faith is the foundation that attracts the favor of God. It's not passive, but an active trust in His promises, even when circumstances seem to contradict them. Hebrews 11:6 reminds us, "Without faith, it is impossible to please God." Active faith unlocks supernatural doors. Finally, humility. God's favor does not rest on the proud, but on those who humbly acknowledge their need for Him. James 4:6 says, "God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble." Humility positions us to receive what God wants to pour into our lives. Walking in the favor of God doesn't mean a life without challenges, but it means every situation can be transformed for His glory and your good. By living with obedience, faith, and humility, divine favor becomes a shield and a source of blessing in every area of your life. The Bible is filled with stories of ordinary people who achieved extraordinary things because of God's favor. These accounts not only inspire, but also demonstrate how divine favor can transform even the most challenging situations into opportunities for His glory. Consider Joseph's story. Sold into slavery by his brothers, falsely accused and imprisoned, his life seemed marked by hardship and injustice. Yet at every stage God's favor was upon him. Genesis 39:2 declares, "The Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered." That favor ultimately elevated him from the prison to the palace, where he saved countless lives, including those of his own family. Esther is another powerful example of divine favor at work. This young Jewish woman became queen and risked her life to save her people. Her position was no accident. Esther 4:14 reminds us, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" God's favor placed Esther in a strategic role to fulfill His greater purpose. Then there's Daniel, who faced persecution for his unwavering faith. Thrown into a lion's den, he experienced God's miraculous protection. Divine favor shut the mouths of the lions, showing that even in the direst circumstances, God stands with His chosen ones. These examples reveal that God's favor doesn't eliminate challenges, but transforms them into triumphs. Like Joseph, Esther, and Daniel, you too can walk in the kind of favor that opens doors, provides protection, and brings glory to God. Their stories remind us that when we trust Him, His favor can turn what seems like a setback into a setup for something far greater. If this message resonates with you and inspires you to walk in God's purpose, please give this video a like. Each like helps this message reach more people who are searching for faith and direction. Also, share your thoughts in the comments. What stood out to you the most? Or how will you apply these steps? Your testimony could be the encouragement someone else needs to draw closer to God. God's favor doesn't always appear in grand, miraculous ways. Often it's found in the small, everyday moments of life. Recognizing His favor requires a heart that is attentive and filled with gratitude, open to seeing His hand at work in every detail. One clear sign of God's favor is unexpected opportunities. Doors that open when you least expect it, chance encounters with the right people, or solutions to problems that seemed impossible are not coincidences. They are evidence of God orchestrating things for your good. Another aspect of God's favor is His protection during difficult times. Psalm 91:7 reminds us, "1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you." Even in the middle of danger or uncertainty, you can experience a peace and assurance that only God can provide. God's favor is also evident in provision. Perhaps you've received financial help at just the right time, found a new opportunity when you needed it most, or witnessed a prayer being answered in a precise and meaningful way. These moments are reminders of His faithfulness. To recognize God's favor, it's essential to cultivate gratitude. Take time each day to reflect on the blessings you've received, big and small. This practice will help you see more clearly how God is working in your life. God's favor doesn't mean life will always be easy, but it equips you to face challenges with confidence and hope. When you begin to look for His hand in every situation, your perspective shifts, and you realize that His favor is present in every season of your life. Faithfulness is one of the most valuable qualities God seeks in those who walk with Him. It's not about being perfect, but about being consistent in your commitment to His will, even in the face of challenges or uncertainty. A powerful example of faithfulness in the Bible is Noah. In a world filled with corruption, Noah obeyed God's command to build an ark, even when it made no sense to those around him. His faithfulness not only saved his family, but also marked the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. Another inspiring story is that of Daniel. Despite facing unjust laws that targeted his faith, Daniel remained steadfast in his devotion to God. His faithfulness led him to the lion's den, but it also allowed God to demonstrate His power by protecting Daniel miraculously. C.S. Lewis wrote that faithfulness isn't just about actions, but the posture of our hearts. It means choosing to do what's right, even when no one is watching, and trusting that God sees and honors our efforts. Proverbs 3:3-4 reminds us, "Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man." God rewards our faithfulness with His favor. It unlocks blessings beyond our understanding and positions us to fulfill His divine purpose. Though being faithful often requires sacrifice, it always brings eternal rewards. When we decide to live with integrity and obedience, we experience God's favor in profound ways. Our lives become living testimonies of His power and goodness. Faithfulness, while not always easy, is the key to unlocking God's favor and walking confidently in His purpose. Suffering and challenges are a reality everyone faces, but for God's chosen, these hardships serve a greater purpose. They are not signs of abandonment, but tools God uses to shape, strengthen, and prepare us for His divine plan. Consider the story of Joseph. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and falsely imprisoned, his life seemed filled with unjust hardships. Yet every trial was part of God's preparation. In the end, Joseph rose to power in Egypt, saving his family and an entire nation from famine. As Joseph declared in Genesis 50:20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Trials also test and refine our faith. In Romans 5:3-4, Paul writes, "We glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." Challenges are not obstacles. They are opportunities to grow spiritually and deepen our reliance on God. C.S. Lewis described suffering as God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. In our darkest moments, we often gain the clearest perspective of who God is and what He is doing in our lives. Embracing the idea that struggles are part of our formation as God's chosen gives us a new perspective. Instead of viewing hardships as punishments, we can see them as opportunities for transformation. Every tear, every challenge, and every moment of doubt is a tool in the hands of the Creator, who is shaping us into the people He has called us to be. Trusting God when life is smooth is easy, but maintaining that trust during challenges is the true test of faith. However, It's in those difficult moments that our relationship with God deepens, and He works in ways we may not understand at first. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted, in spite of your changing moods." When trials come, it's natural to question why God allows certain situations. Yet Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us that His thoughts and ways are higher than ours. He sees the bigger picture, while we only see a small fragment. A powerful example is found in John 13:7, when Jesus washed His disciples' feet. Peter, confused, initially refused, but Jesus said, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Similarly, many of God's actions in our lives only make sense in hindsight. Trusting God also means surrendering our anxieties to Him. Philippians 4:6-7 encourages us not to worry about anything, but to present our requests to God in prayer. In return, He promises a peace that surpasses all understanding, a peace that guards our hearts and minds, even during uncertainty. Choosing to trust God in difficult times allows His power to work in our lives. Trust doesn't mean the absence of challenges, but it equips us to face them with hope and faith. When we lean on Him, He transforms our struggles into opportunities for growth and His greater purpose. Sharing your faith doesn't require a stage or a microphone. It's a simple but powerful act that reflects what God has done in your life and shows others the hope they can find in Him. As C.S. Lewis said, "Don't hide your light under a bushel. Your testimony can be the spark that ignites someone else's faith journey." Sharing your faith starts with small everyday actions. A kind word, a prayer for someone in need, or a moment of encouragement can plant seeds of faith. People may not read the Bible, but they are watching how you live your life. Your actions often speak louder than words, and they can become a reflection of God's work in you. The apostles, after witnessing Jesus' resurrection, didn't keep the truth to themselves. Despite persecution, they proclaimed the gospel boldly, understanding that their mission was to share God's love and truth with the world. Similarly, you don't need to have all the answers or be perfect to share your faith. Authenticity is what touches hearts. Your story is unique and powerful. When you share what God has done in your life, it gives others hope and reminds them that they are not alone. A simple conversation or testimony can inspire someone to seek God and discover His purpose for their life. By sharing your faith, you not only impact others but also strengthen your own walk with God. Being a light in a dark world is a calling that goes beyond words. It's about living in a way that points others to Christ. Never underestimate the power of one word or action inspired by God. Every step you take toward God is a step closer to living the life He has prepared for you. C.S. Lewis reminds us, "The present is the only point in time that touches eternity." What you choose to do today can shape both your present and eternal future. Pause for a moment and think, what is one small action you can take today to draw nearer to Him? It could be spending time in prayer, studying His Word, or showing kindness to someone who needs it. Every act of faith, no matter how small, has meaning and brings you closer to fulfilling His purpose. Remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. Philippians 1:6 promises, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion." God is with you, guiding and strengthening you even when the road seems unclear. Transformation doesn't happen in an instant. It's the result of steady, faithful steps. Today is an opportunity to choose trust over fear and faith over doubt. Take that first step and let God lead you into something greater. If this message has touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others. Leave a comment with your name followed by a declaration of faith, such as, "I trust in God." This simple act could inspire someone else to take a step toward faith. Subscribe to this channel to continue growing spiritually with a community that seeks to walk closer to God. Each video is created to strengthen your faith and guide you toward His purpose. And don't forget to share this message with someone who might need encouragement today. A small action can make a big difference. God has an incredible plan for your life. Don't wait any longer to step into it. He has already placed His hand on you and prepared a path filled with blessings and meaning. Remember, you are not walking alone. God is with you every step of the way, offering guidance, strength, and His unfailing love. Step forward with confidence, knowing His favor and grace surround you. Today can be the start of something extraordinary. Trust Him and let Him transform your life.